What's up, boys? Welcome back. We're finally back in business again. New PC. I know I had a new PC last time. However, it had something faulty inside of it. I had to end up sending it back. It ended up putting me back and out of streaming for a week. Not just streaming, video content altogether. I like to do everything from my PC. I'm old school. I'm always going to be that way. But we're back in business now. We're going to start off with the final act of Black Myth Wukong today. Let me just pull that up right now. All right. So these are the games I'm working with right now. I've really been into this game. Really been into this game heavy lately. I have a whole series planned for this game. It's really, really long. It's like one of my favorite childhood games. Let me turn this down a little bit. Oh, my headphones. Stupid cords. All right, let me turn this down a bit. All right, so when it comes to this game is four games in one. And I say in one, but the file copy is one, but it's four separate discs basically, or four different volumes. There we go. It's four volumes, one game. The whole series is amazing. I played it as a kid, and of course, I had ended up playing it all over again now that I'm an adult. Why not? High quality, improved graphics, amazing story. They just don't make games like this anymore. This game came out on PlayStation 2, no less. And it still holds up to this day. Simple mechanics for game fighting and all that stuff, which is perfectly fine with me. But the best part is the story. A lot of games nowadays really suck at telling a good story, which is the whole premise and basis of a single story freaking game. Like the new Dragon Age, for example, I've heard very, very bad things. I don't plan on really getting it, and which is very sad to say because I've played every single previous Dragon Age, and all I hear is terrible, terrible things. If you're an old Dragon Age loving fan, not the game for you. I hear it might be an okay game, but there's just a whole lot of controversial conversations that are thrown into it. It's ridiculous. A lot of forced dialogue that I'm personally not even liking. I haven't even gotten to play the game yet. But this game right here, each volume, when it was on PlayStation, putting in perspective on how long the game was, just about everything is voice acted. Just about everything is voice acted. English. It's a Japanese video game as well, but it's all in English. They have anime in like anime episodes were installed inside of the original discs. You had to unlock it as you played the game. What else? It's a game. It's a game within a game. It's awesome. It's awesome. But each volume was 3 discs. I'm pretty sure each one was about 3 discs. So that gives you perspective on how long the games were. Oh my god, this is gonna be great. It's like playing a Kingdom Hearts game, like that type of length. Oh, and I got it on sale. ain't ain't nothing like getting stuff on sale. All right, but let's get into my pride and joy, my baby. I was really worried. About Black Myth Wukong. Yeah, I was really worried because of the new PC. When I got Power World, or when I got the new PC last time, and I made my Power World game, it reset my character back to level 1, which was outrageous. Making me start back over from level 1, ridiculous. For what? Why? Just because I switched PCs? I thought all the files were supposed to be saved in the cloud. on here, but I don't know. Either it was an issue on their end or whatever. But this time around, when I loaded up the PC, my files were still there, and uh, Pal World itself, I went into Pal World and checked if it reset me again, and it didn't. It kept me back at max level, so I'm very happy about that. All of my series characters still there. Oh, it's been a while. It's been a while, Wukong. I've missed you. I left off on a very, very good note. Uh, what did I'd finally killed Yellow Long. Oh my god. Disgusting. But I killed Yellow Long and I just dominated. I mean dominated every other boss that followed after. So, man, I can't wait for Act 5. I can't wait for this last act to kick off. I left off at the very beginning, nice and juicy. Ooh, there's a lot of viewers on Wukong tonight. A lot of viewers. Wow, my shaders are compiling all over again. I went through this already. It's crazy. I actually preloaded this game up to check and make sure that my game was actually loaded on here. I don't know why it's making me do shaders again. Poo poo. Let me see. Hopefully. I'm hoping to get affiliate tonight, guys. Trying to at least hit 50. But I want to go way beyond, baby. Way beyond. Make sure I'm getting all this audio. Gameplay. Only thing I'm not in is my Discord right now. Matter of fact, I am going to hop in my Discord. Because if my buddy is home or on, he'll hop in. Which he'll be on soon. Or he'll be home soon. It's crazy. I'm going to let this drop down and bring up. I guess I'll bring up a, whatchamacallit, just chatting for right now. I'll let this finish. No, that is not up in the corner. I'll let this finish doing the shader thing. And while it's doing that, I'll load up something else, like YouTube video or something. There we go. TubeTube. What? Oh. If you can't tell, I'm big into art. Hmm? I'm pretty sure I have a couple things in my watch later. No. I don't even need to watch them. They're so old now. Hmm. Conspiracy against my game. Where's the original video? What's up? All right.
Now, ever so often, there's a game that comes out that meets and exceeds the expectations of the players.
Wait. Black Myth Wukong forced out of Game of the Year? What's this? What is this malarkey? What is this malarkey? Here's unacceptable.
Blows our minds. It's so good, but for some odd reason, now, ever so often, there's a game that comes out that meets and exceeds the expectations of the players. It blows our minds. It's so good, but for some odd reason, it doesn't meet the same expectations for games media. Our interests aren't aligned. Our perspectives are not necessarily the same, and there's conflict in that. And I think that Black Myth Wukong is one of those games.
That's because we're interested in the game actually being good. They're interested in the dollars most of the time.
And don't get me wrong, the game reviewed very well. It got over an 80 on most review sites. But with that said, up until the game's release, and then even after the game's release, it was under a constant barrage of negative criticism that had nothing to do with the game whatsoever. And in that, the game never really got a fair shake, at least not in my eyes. Now, 2024 has been an absolutely insane year for games. There are so many great games to play. And if you're one of those people that are out there that are like, gaming is dying, let me be the first to tell you, you need to play more games.
For real. Because in my personal opinion, I went from playing like 1 or 2 games constantly. Actually, I was on a Call of Duty. I'm not gonna lie. I went from playing World of Warcraft for decades, and all of Blizzard's games, all their whole franchise. I played all of their freaking games, and I love them. Love them all. But that really pulled me away from playing a whole lot of other games on consoles. I still had a console. I still played games on them, but not nearly as much if I wasn't playing World of Warcraft all the time. And then once I went from World of Warcraft and I finally did start moving over to console, all of my friends were mostly playing Call of Duty. So I just mostly got hooked into those because I really like playing with my friends. However, now that like I play with my friends, but majority of the time I'll play games by myself, and I really do enjoy a single story based game. And like there are those few games like the game that I described earlier at the beginning, .hack GU. That's an amazing single player story based game. And what's crazy is there are so many people who have no idea about that game. Yet, I will swear by that game to this day. That game was goated. It was before its time for its quality, and it didn't get the recognition that it definitely deserved. Now, we talking about how, oh my god. Yeah, so majority of games now just aren't up to that par. We're in my opinion, for the longest, just weren't up to par to that. So I've really focused on playing multiplayer games with my friends for the longest. But now that I'm getting back into single player games, oh my god, I can't keep up. There's so many. There are so many good games that are that just either slide under the radar or they pop up, they pop off for like a week, and then they're just in the freaking wind. And then the next new game is popping off. I can't keep up. They're actually coming out faster than I can play them for once. Before, man, a new game would come out and I would just dump on that game. I would literally play the game. I would no life the game for like an afternoon or a day and just dominate the whole game. It's just over. I mean, I know a game's supposed to have an end, but to be able to beat your entire video game in a single day or even 2 days, that's atrocious. Considering how people used to legit no life video games from when they would get up sometimes as a kid to when they would go to sleep, and then do that on repeat as a kid for like a month and a half. Come on. Don't. I want good quality story just like that. And these new games, they may not be as long as the old ones, but Their quality, what they're doing in the games, it is up to freaking par. Anyone who's complaining that there isn't good games, you ain't looking hard enough. You ain't playing hard enough. Like, play more games. Try other things. Try something with a completely different graphic style. Trust me, there's something out there.
Or just not the same ones over and over again. The list, once I get into some of the Game of the Year contenders, it's going to blow your mind because I honestly forgot how many games even came out this year. This isn't about the award. It's about the recognition that these studios deserve, the reward they deserve beyond just making money. It's making sure that it's known why these games are great so that other publishers and studios can see, hey, this is what it is. This is how we make a game that the players love. And it's not, again, just not the money. But already I'm starting to see games media want to preemptively push back about Black Myth Wukong being in the Game of the Year category. And we're going to talk about that. Before that, today's sponsor.
It should be
War Thunder is a massive free-to-play, large-scale multiplayer game where you can fight anyone from around the world using ground vehicles, aircraft, helicopters, and naval vessels from the mid-20th century to present. The game is available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. What truly sets War Thunder apart is its commitment to realism and immersion. The graphics and sound design continually evolve, pulling you into battles that feel authentically intense. You're not just playing a game, you're experiencing the heart-pounding chaos of combat. Whether you're barreling through enemy lines in a tank,
not gonna lie, I've never even played this game,
or engaging in thrilling dogfights, the freedom to choose your combat style is up to you. The game features various technologies such as night vision devices, smoke screens, and even nuclear explosions, which can turn the tide of battle in unexpected ways. A recent update called Dance of Dragons is a game changer. Thanks to this update, you can now take command of a variety of French combat vessels. And
I could see some people who are like really interested in these type of
Thunderbolt
like,
2 attack plane and
that's
the
really
F-111
interested into the
bomber.
technicalities
In addition,
and stuff.
there are many other combat vehicles that are available and dozens of improvements at the. Don't miss.
Anyone who's like actually interested in the technicalities of those type of things would probably be super interested in this game. Being honest, like I watched a few clips of people playing it or two.
This video. We have had a monstrous year in games, and it's wild to think that it's not even over yet with more releases right around the corner. This is about the time of year that Game of the Year candidates are being discussed and debated, and this year we have a lot of difficult choices to make. Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Helldivers 2, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Prince of Persia The Lost Crown, Persona 3 Reloaded, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Silent Hill 2
Jesus, this list just keeps going.
Remake are among the highest scoring games that we've had from reviewers this year. That's 8 games when only 6 games can be qualified as candidates. We're not even mentioning the stockpile of games that were scored just under that, with titles like Stellar Blade, Black Myth Wukong, Tekken 8, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Unicorn Overlord, Space Marine 2, and more. 2024 has been packed with games, but only a few titles are deserving of being crowned King of the Year. And for many players, that...
The saddest part is, a lot of these games that he just listed off, I still haven't even gotten the chance to play yet. They're on my list. They're on my list to play. Stellar Blade. I heard that one's supposed to be really good. Like, there's so many. I haven't even gotten to play Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok yet. Trust me. That game is on my list. I've played every single God of War. I'm gonna beat that one too. Except that'll be the first time I stream God of War. And I love Greek mythology. My kids are named after Greek gods, man. It's gonna be, I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna cook on that game like no other.
Game is Black Myth Wukong. James Throtten of The Gamer penned an article titled, "If Black Myth Wukong isn't nominated for Game of the Year, fans are going to be insufferable." James writes, Black Myth Wukong is a very good action game.
He's not wrong,
Souls-like formula and stretching it into a boss rush format. Its popularity even surpasses that of its inspirations, garnering millions of players in mere days. It's a genuine contender for the Game Awards, but with how stacked 2024 is shaping up to be, competition is fierce. Polygon recently updated its Game of the Year frontrunner list, while the Golden Joystick Awards announced its 6 nominees for this year's PC and console Game of the Year categories. Black Myth Wukong is nowhere to be seen outside of smaller categories, and so TikTok right now is a deluge of angry gamers declaring that games media is corrupt and that it's all a part of some wider
It absolutely is.
conspiracy. The game
It 100% is. Oh my god. How do I put this in perspective? There's so many, there's so many good games out there. There's so many good games out there. And media.
game was not rigged from the start, it's just been a very, very competitive year. This week alone, we've had Silent Hill 2 Remake, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, 3 critically acclaimed hits that are all vying for the spotlight with equal fervor. Earlier this year, we saw the launch of Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII.
Dragon's Dogma 2 is not better than fucking Black Myth Wukong. If you think that, yeah, you're a moron. You're retarded as fuck. You don't know your fucking head from your ass.
Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Tekken 8, Helldivers 2, and Dragon's Dogma. That's not to mention the stellar year it's been for indies. Black Myth Wukong, while good, we scored it 4 stars, just doesn't measure up to the greats. Hell, it's not even the best Souls-like this year, as that award goes to Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree.
Bro.
For those that have used Wukong as fuel in a culture war since before it was even released,
but it's up to par with it. It is up to par with it. Simply put, the fact that you even have to mention it and even, put it in the same scale as that and not even something like one of the older ones that were kind of crap compared to that, come on. Come on.
its absence on these lists is an attack. It's a ploy by games media for reasons, even though it has an open critic aggregate of 82. There's one big argument cropping up across Reddit and slowly replacing all the goth girls on my For You page as to why it deserves to be nominated. It sold well. James, I will speak for those that you are arguing against. Black Myth Wukong doesn't deserve to be nominated because of its sales. It deserves to be nominated because it is the first ever release from a studio.
Because it's good. It deserves to be nominated because it's good. That's it. It does it need more of a reason? Does it need more of a reason? Then it's better than a lot of the competitors? I think not.
An inexperienced studio that made a stunningly gorgeous game with great combat, a compelling story, beautiful music, incredibly detailed and culturally accurate environments, some of the most unique boss encounters I've seen in a game like this, and themes that we don't often see in games. It was original, fresh, and most importantly, fun. And while many of the games that were mentioned in this article are incredible games, they are just copies of previous titles or even remakes.
Seriously, let's put that in straight up perspective. He said it himself. All of the games that you think about, not all, but a large quantity of games that you think about that are out now are basically just copying and pasting each other's skin in a different light. Black Myth Wukong was extremely refreshing and very well needed in the industry, because it felt like a lot of the games for a good long while were the same. The moment I put my hands on this game, the first words I said was God tier game. This is God tier. Why did I immediately give it that stamp of approval? Because I haven't been that blown away by an entrance alone on a freaking game, let alone 20 minutes of a playthrough. My ass was glued to this seat and didn't want to get up for 11 fucking hours straight. There is no way in hell you could get me to sit in a chair for 11 hours straight and actually be blown away. And I was struggling. I didn't even want to get off the game. My body was just so exhausted. Stamp of approval. Stamp of approval. Like, come on. Come on. There, this game should definitely be on that list. There's nothing else that gave this much of a refreshing poppin' feeling straight off the jump. I'm sorry. Give me another game. I'll play it. And you'll see my impressions. And it'll always be the honest impressions. If you ask me to play your game, I'm gonna give my honest reaction. If it's poo-poo, pa-choo-choo, I'ma say it's ass. I'm sorry. But this Black Myth Wukong is fire. Straight fire. And there are moments where I beat my head against Yellow Long for like 4 streams straight. And I still kept coming back until I killed him and moved on. That's how much I like this game. I'm not doing that with any other game. Like, bro, how do I put this? I've started Elden Ring. Don't get me wrong, and I plan on playing it full through and all that. But I started Elden Ring before I started Power World and any other of these games that have recently come out. And I still, and probably at like the beginning, I haven't done jack in that. The playstyle in that feels a little bit more stiff and clunky. This feels smoother. They have the same kind of concepts when it comes to extravagant boss fights. But the combat in this is just out fucking standing. I'm sorry. Elden Ring probably could be better. I haven't gotten into it, like deep into it at all. I plan on it. I plan on giving it my full love and attention, just like I did this. But this game immediately captured my fucking attention from point A all the way to point Z. This should definitely be on the list. I don't like. There's probably some controversial bullshit that's going on with it in the background. That's why they don't want it to be up there. But I don't give a fuck. This is a good game. This is a good ass game.
The industry should be celebrating and rewarding studios that work this hard, take a risk, and deliver something altogether new. And we're not even mentioning how the...
Also, the average consumer doesn't give a flying dog diddly doo-doo about what the company's majority of the time controversial words have to say, so long as they're producing the fucking game that they want to play to the fullest. Because come on, yo, we have been dry. Like, if they want to, they say some little popping off stuff here and there, whatever. I don't care. It ain't affecting me, ain't hurting me. I don't even know if that's the case, but it's always some background bullcrap, yo. But this game is fire.
Game sold at a fair price. I am so exhausted by this. Do you want to know why players think there's some grand conspiracy? Do you want to know why they think there's some media bias? Well, you're not doing yourself any service when you try to minimize the game at every given turn. Called it a Souls-like. It's not even a Souls-like. I actually did the same thing in a video too, so I'm actually not going to take points away from you for that. But I don't understand where this idea that this game somehow became something that the culture war LARPers had latched onto even before its release, because to my recollection, the only thing that I can remember is Games Media were the ones that were pushing these allegations from IGN against Game Science through different articles, and then also at the exact same time, there were a ton of people pining over tweets that were completely mistranslated. If anything, it was Games Media that was dragging this game into the culture war, not the other way around.
Are they really considering not having Black Myth Wukong on the nomination list over some culture crap? Seriously? Like I just said, always over some in the background crap that has absolutely nothing to do with the actual game or the quality of the game. Oh, yeah. Corrupt? I'd say.
It's just not true. The entire time before this game's release, and this is the reason why I say the game didn't get a fair shake, is that every single time this game was brought up, it was always with a qualifier. Black Myth Wukong is a fantastic action game, but there was this report from IGN that was also based on some mistranslations, but we don't really care about that much. But anyway, they said some things, or they do some things we don't necessarily agree with. Black Myth Wukong, we're giving an 8 out of 10, but just to let you know, we saw some tweets
It's
that were
easily
also
a 9,
mistranslated, and we
easily a
didn't really
10.
like
In my
exactly
opinion,
what they
it's a
said
10.
or the things that this company stands for. It was
Easily a
always
9.
like that. The game never got a fair chance, at least in the media light. And that's not the same for every other.
It's easily 100% a 9. However, I love the game. I'll give it where credit is due. It is fire beyond belief. It does have small, because it's still playable, still beatable, small little combat boss little things that I have noticed that are like you've seen them in my streams, where it's just like clearly it's like, oh, I'm out of his range, but somehow I'm still got hit, or something where all of a sudden he goes like, I don't know, he starts ignoring like 50 million freaking abilities, stuff like that. Those little things were little minor annoyances, but it made the game challenging. So, does it really sit at a 9, or is it really a freaking 10? Telling you to man up or shut up. I give it a 10. 10 with gold stars.
Their game that was out there. All the rest of the games never had any of this kind of stuff. And the worst part is again, all of these things were alleged, never even proven, yet they were touted as fact. They were included in game reviews, game review videos, end reviews. You don't think that's too far? What do you think is the purpose of that when you put that stuff into an article other than to minimize the game and hopefully steer players away from buying it? That's the point. You want to understand and know why players think there's some grand conspiracy? Well, it's not hard for them to jump to that conclusion when it's staring them 2 inches from their face.
Yep.
On the topic of the game's sales, the writer continues with, it's hardly a compelling defense, but sales figures have long been used as evidence that supposedly anti-woke games like Wukong are what your everyday gamer really wants. In reality, it was a success because the game was marketed to the enormous untapped Chinese demographic. It was only made worse when streamers were supposedly sent guidelines asking them not to mention feminist propaganda or politics. Black Myth Wukong became the
Why would anyone need to mention any of those things when it comes to this game? At all. This shit's just been cool as hell.
poster child for the most toxic, vocal gamers on the internet, and everything since its launch has only worked to further that image. Wukong was a monumental hit, there's no denying that. Within days, it skyrocketed to the 7th most played game on Steam of all time, the peak concurrent player count of 2.4 million players, but numbers aren't everything. Banana, the viral clicker game that generates Steam Marketplace items, has a higher 24-hour peak than Black Myth Wukong right now by over 100,000 players. Avengers, Infinity War, and Spider-Man No Way Home are among the highest grossing films of all time, but they didn't walk away with the pinnacle Oscar for good reason. Sales do not equal quality, but Black Myth Wukong has been weaponized in a culture war ever since it was announced, and it doing well has only been used as ammunition to argue that games media is out of touch with gamers. Not being nominated for any Game of the Year awards, it's October, it's likely going to be in the mix for a lot of sites, and still could be up for many categories at the Game Awards, is just more fuel to prove that point. It hasn't upset fans because they think it's a good game deserving to be among the best. It has upset fans because they see its absence as an attack in their one-sided feud.
I honestly haven't watched the Game Awards, and I think it's been like at least 2 years. And to think that this game, to think that they really wouldn't nominate this game out of all the other trash that's been made. I'm sorry. I know people have put their hearts into their game sometimes, but for real, this game definitely deserves to be nominated.
As we edge nearer the big celebratory end of the year closer that is the Game Awards, we are going to see this outrage spiral. If Black Myth Wukong doesn't get a nomination for the main award, it has a few competitors to shut out in Best Action, its fans will see that as a personal slight. We're witnessing it already, and I've seen my colleagues get attacked over the past year just for covering the game. If fans are this riled up by an award ceremony many self-proclaim they've never heard of, or a list of frontrunners that means very little, then I can't see being snubbed from the Game Awards going down well. Man, the lack of self-awareness when saying that the sales of the game were used as ammunition in a culture war, while you yourself are focusing purely on the sales of the game to minimize the entire discussion around the game. That's interesting. It's convenient to go after the outrage of those who can't voice their concerns properly because the writer is absolutely right. Sales does not mean a game should be Game of the Year. If sales were the leading factor, then Baldur's Gate 3 should have lost to Hogwarts Legacy, or Call of Duty should have won for 5 years straight since it was the best-selling game since 2017. There are a slew of other factors here that should be discussed, but the writer and other media pundits aren't taking the time to discuss that. They're just hand-waving the angry gamers and throwing it out into the bin with the rest of the culture war commentary. Now, my question is, why is it that on the topic of game sales, the Chinese player base is used to minimize the overall impact of the game's sales, success, and popularity? Again, to quote the writer, the game was a monumental hit. There's no denying that.
Because they think that only the Chinese would be interested in this game, and that this game would only reach this level of popularity because of the Chinese and over there. No fucking... This game is outstanding. America. In America. This out fucking standing. All of my friends played this game. Hell, we simultaneously played this game and streamed it all at the same time and played it all at the same time. That's how fire this game is. Fuck out of here.
Only to follow it up with, but it succeeded because there was an untapped Chinese market of players. Like, those players don't even count? Why aren't we having a discussion on why, censorship aside, Western games haven't been able to penetrate that market as effectively as Black Myth Wukong? Especially when there are that many players that could make that much of an impact on a game's sales. Black Myth Wukong is just as deserving as any other title that could go up there for Game of the Year. That's not saying that those games aren't worthy either. They are. But the thing is that it just feels like the coverage around this game, the discussions around this game, have just felt off. Purposefully dishonest in a lot of ways. Black Myth Wukong was incredibly popular.
Wait. Okay, so to my understanding, the whole thing is they believe that Black Myth Wukong shouldn't even be nominated because they think that the whole reason why they made as many sales as they did is because they were able to tap into China's player base, seeing as they didn't have to censor as much, seeing as they were like Chinese culture-esque based game. And they didn't have to deal with the normal things like Blizzard, for example. Blizzard servers have to run they used to have to run, I don't know if they have to do it now, but they used to have to run different skins for like humans and the undead or something like that. Or it was different skins for the undead or the bones or something like that. Because there was a, I don't know, some issue when it came to the whole culture. But Blizzard themselves had to deal with that. But they still managed to get sales over there. Just like a lot of games still manage to get sales over there. Hell, and if the game can't get sales over there, it's remade somewhere else. And then, or it's remade typically over there. And then they just want to play the original game anyway, so they just go and play the original game. If they want to play the game or hear it's good, nothing's going to stop someone, no matter where they're at, from trying to get the copy or trying to play the game, period. So, at the end of the day, it boils down to whether or not the game sucks. Everyone's gonna buy Call of Duty copies, like they just said, because of the fact that so many people's friends play Call of Duty. It's just an easy way to pull your friends together and play a freaking simple game together. Simple, mindless shooting game. Boom. Easy. But you talking about pulling people from different cultures, different areas of the planet together for a single game? Sorry, that's really just happening because of how good that goddamn game is.
It was incredibly popular with the Chinese because it was the first game that really represented their culture and history in a way that could bridge the gap between nations. Players around the world loved it. They connected with it. And because of that, it brought down cultural boundaries. We don't see that very often. It should be something that everybody should be cheering for and happy for. That is the power of this hobby. That is what it can accomplish at times. But
that's not what the Game Awards is about. It's about the good quality of the game and what game should be the best and what game should be ranked top. And doesn't matter if it resonates with people or whatever. At the end of the day, I didn't play it because it resonated with me, with the Chinese culture, or anything like that, honestly. I don't know why everyone has to associate everything with this or with that. The game was just simply good, and it should be nominated for the award because it's fucking good. Like, need I say more? Need I say more?
we're losing sight of that. I think this all loops back to the fact that game science did not bend the knee in fealty to games media when they started hurling accusations at them, baseless accusations at them, and demanded an answer. They said no comment. That has nothing to do with the game or anything else right now, and they didn't feel that it was in good faith, and they just ignored it entirely. And I think that games media as a whole took offense to that. They didn't like that too much. They don't like it when their power and position is questioned, when their authority, or what little they have left of it, is questioned.
They didn't like the silent treatment.
This should be a game that we should be celebrating because of the fact that it broke down cultural boundaries. Beyond that, it was a game that was absolutely gorgeous. It was coming from a studio that this is the first game that they were releasing. It came out relatively polished, fresh feeling combat, boss encounters that we've never even seen before, with attack stylings we haven't seen, environments we've never been in, atmosphere that was absolutely fantastic. They went out and they scanned.
What you're hearing here is everything's new. Everything's new. No one's copying and pasting. Fresh, quality, new. I'm sorry. This more than deserves it. Not another copy-paste bullcrap game. Not only did they make something from scratch, but it was good. When's the last time you heard about some crap like that? I'm sorry. Don't exist. Hasn't for a very long time. Even one of the most popular games like World of Warcraft pulls from multiple different games like EverQuest and this game and that game and just pours it all into the game. They just do it a lot of the things right. Or they did a lot of the things right for years, which kept so many players. But this, totally different fight style, like abilities, everything. All of it. I've never seen any of this stuff in any other game at all. Or the precision and quality that they managed to execute it at it's astounding. Especially for being, I came out of nowhere, honestly. I haven't heard anything on this at all. And then it just dropped and it was fire.
Real life statues and architecture to try to make sure that the game had the most, authentic rendition possible, and they delivered on it. The game was absolutely incredible. The stop motion animations, the anime cutscenes, and a bunch of different style of art. It was great. It was such a good game. But
oh my god, the
isn't being
cutscenes.
discussed. Instead, it's all locked behind social politics. Black Myth Wukong was nothing short of a revelation for me. The game was a breath of fresh air in a world that is drowning in microtransactions and endless live service models. Much like Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring, it was just a straightforward video game that focused on delivering a great experience without the baggage of modern gaming trends. Selling it at a fair price really made it shine as a prime example of what players have been craving, a complete, immersive experience.
You know what also makes it worse? If this game shines brighter than all those microtransaction bullshit games that everyone is so sick and tired of, the bloat, the disgusting bloat that is associated with all of these games and their microtransactions and their battle pass this and their buy this and their buy that. Just give me a good fucking quality game and leave me the hell alone, please. That's all I want. They delivered. That's why it feels so fresh. That's why I couldn't put my finger on what it is. There's none of that crap in this. The only slight or choice of a microtransaction would be the difference in the game that you would get for the I can't remember the base game or like the Elite Edition or some shit like that. But all it gave you was a different skin. What did it give you? A little bit of extra damage. Yo, it didn't even matter. Wasn't worth it. And the rest of the game was so fire. They didn't bother you with no micro anything. Just solid quality. Solid quality. And the cutscenes, like he said. The cutscenes are all freaking beautiful. I would play through Act 1 again just to see that bear boss. Just to play and fight that bear boss again. He was just in the first act, and he's still my favorite one. Just because how he looked. Come on. Come on.
That doesn't feel like it's constantly trying to upsell you.
Deserves
like
the fucking
I said
credit
before,
where credit is
honestly,
due.
it's just a damn good video game.
Yes.
I'm not a professional reviewer, but playing Black Myth Wukong was an awe-inspiring journey for me that I can't stop thinking about. From the moment that I started, I was blown away by its visuals, its gameplay, its music. Every single boss fight felt exhilarating, and I found myself savoring every single moment rather than trying to just rush and finish the game. It's a game that didn't just entertain,
that's another thing. I don't rush through this game. I haven't rushed through this game at all. I've literally actually went out of my way to try to find every single little item, everything of everything. Because it's actually fun in this fucking game, and it feels rewarding and worth the time of doing it. It's great. A game hasn't been able to do that in like a decade or more. And it's sad. It's so sad to say, but it's so true.
It resonated on a deeper level, reminding me why I fell in love with video games in the first place.
Yup.
Now, with that said, the other games that are out there are genuine contenders. I don't want this video to come off like Black Myth Wukong should be the only game of the year and no other game deserves it. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was absolutely phenomenal.
Bro,
While I know that there's some people
it.
out there that think the game doesn't deserve a spot because it's a remake, it's not. It's a full-on reimagining. The combat, the storytelling, how events play out, the music, the atmosphere, all of it makes for a game that's deserving of the crown.
Totally.
Helldivers 2, despite its controversies, was for all intents and purposes the game to beat this year. It sold tens of millions of copies. It felt like a trip back to the old days of Halo 2 and Halo 3 post-launch, where friends are asking when you're going to get on. You're staying up way too late playing the game, and all you could do was think about what was going to happen in the game next.
I didn't play this game.
I just recently started playing Metaphor ReFantazio, and I'll be honest with you guys, it's likely this year's game of the year. It makes huge improvements in turn-based games. It
I'm totally
has music that has no right being as good as it is.
I'm so jelly.
And art direction go from breathtaking to nightmare-inducing, and it has character writing and stories that show quality, care, and the authenticity that players have been complaining for years that game studios can't touch without ham-fisting those themes in. It is the perfect example of how to do topics like diversity and inclusivity the right way. I just want to emphasize that this isn't about one game deserving a title over another. Every title mentioned has its own merits and fan bases.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's just that the fact that Black Myth Wukong just deserves a fucking spot at the table. That's it. It deserves the recognition that it's justly deserved. It's a good ass game, and it shits on a lot of other games. It deserves a spot at the table, or at least to be actually considered as a game worth being nominated, because it definitely is.
And they're all worthy of recognition in their own right. Black Myth Wukong, however, stands out for its originality and its cultural significance, but also for how this game has been mishandled by the media.
Yep.
It's a testament to how hard game science worked on their game and the fresh perspective that they bring. After all, that's what games should be about, creating experiences that are resonating and bringing us together, not just the ones that fit into a narrow definition of success that is made up by a handful of writers. I'm starting to realize that access journalism doesn't work in both ways. Because they want to make sure that they're trying to stay in line, that they're doing their best to be able to hold on to their contacts, their insider information, get their keys and their codes, and make sure that they can hold on to their jobs and their relevance. But on the other end, when it comes to some of these smaller studios and publishers, they desperately need the help of games media to be able to be noticed, to get in the front of the eyes of players in the first place. Get their trailers out there, get articles written and things like that, get them in the algorithms and whatnot. And I think that some of these journalists that are out there view that as an opportunity for them to throw their weight around. That's where they get to be the bully this time. They get to push everybody else around and tell them the way that it's going to be. And I think that Black Myth Wukong stood in opposition to that, and they didn't like it too much. And it might not be all of them. I'm not going to say it's every single one of them. There's some damn good journalists that are still out there. I know you guys are probably shaking your heads. No, there's no way. Believe me, they exist. I have a few of them that are out there that are some of my favorites. But with that said, I think that's the case here for Black Myth Wukong. It's not about sales and it's not about scores. It's about fairness and image. And I just do not think, under any circumstances, that Black Myth Wukong was painted in the same colors as some of the other games that we've seen this year. Even games that had controversy. Pal World, that game got absolutely shredded by games media. They hated that game even though the players liked it.
Oh my God.
Even still then, I don't feel like the game got dogged on this hard. Going back, Helldivers 2, they went through their...
They ate Pal World alive. They gobbled that mother sucker up. Like, Jesus. They were on it like white on rice because of the one-to-one looking, almost with, come on, like nearly one-to-ones of Pokemon. What? Lawsuit on on game mechanics is crazy. That was crazy to hear. But this is even wilder. This is a good game.
Entire controversy. Games media didn't even want to touch it. They didn't even want to talk about it. They just brought it up slightly and then walked away from it. Just let the gamers be mad. And I think the reason why is because they just didn't see it from our perspective. They didn't care to see it from our perspective. Which then brings me around to this idea that when it comes to a game like Black Myth Wukong, or maybe even like Space Marine 2, probably less so on that one, I think that there are some writers, some journalists that are out there that see that these games are being used in a culture war, that they are diametrically opposed to whatever the side of that culture war is, and they do not want to give them a win under any circumstances. And that does affect their review at the end of the day. They don't want to hand that over to them. They know that they're going to use it as ammunition against them, and they're never going to hear the end of it.
They don't want to relinquish power.
Well, points get docked, the image of the game gets smeared, and this is the result that you get. I don't know if that's going to be the end result of all of this, but it looks like it is. One thing the reviewer, the writer, did get right, there's a lot of games to be vying for a spot as Game of the Year this year. A lot of games deserve it. We've had some awesome games released, and there's still more that are right around the corner. Stalker 2 is, I think, next month. We just had Call of Duty. Black Ops 6 just came out recently.
Dude. Black Ops 6 just dropped, and I can't wait to try out zombies. I haven't played a good zombies in so long. I used to go stupid on that game. I'll still play Zone, but I'm gonna definitely be on the ops, on the zoms, on the pew pew for hours, yo. Hours.
That game got reviewed really well. It did really well. The players seem to really like it, which is crazy for a Call of Duty game. But
it's because they brought zombies
stranger
back.
things have happened.
The right way, apparently.
Who knows? Maybe there's something else that's sleeping in the wings that we don't know that's going to come out and get a bunch of 10s and 9s. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to share the video with your friends. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below what game you think is going to be Game of the Year or what game you want to be Game of the Year. And yeah, outside of that, my friends, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Make sure to catch me in the next video. Catch me live on Twitch, and I'll check you guys next time.
Family. Family.
Well, I personally, if it would be on my list of